It's time for grassroots racers and fans to gather around. Welcome to the Racing Roundup Show, your destination for news and interviews within the Wisconsin racing scene, the upper Midwest, and from the world of motorsports. Thank you for joining us for our 38th season, America's longest running weekly motorsports program held in front of a live audience. Tell your friends they still have time to join the racing crowd for tonight's show. And now, here is the host of the Racing Roundup Show, Jim Trano.
Hey gang, how are you? Glad to have you along with us. We've got a gathering crowd here in Turn 14 for another D'Angelo's Construction Roadshow. This one brought to us by Lamers Driving Experience for Charity and D&H Sales and Service in Sheboygan, Sheboygan's Power Center. Looking forward to having you join us here tonight in Turn 14. If you're at Road America, great. If you're not, you're going to enjoy this show. We have a lot of racers to talk about. We got a Miata rolling in literally next to us in our garage area, and we've got a lot of things to talk about. This show, again, is right here at Road America, a great supporter of our program. We love coming here, and it's our final special, non-Tuesday, D'Angelo's Construction Roadshow. We have a very special guest with us as well. If you think about the yellow Corvettes, the yellow Camaros that raced across the world and won Le Mans and dominated in America Le Mans and IMSA, I'm sitting next to a guy who's actually been part of that process for over 20 years. He is now retired, which I don't know what that really means. Dan Binks, welcome to the Racing Roundup Show.
Hey, I'm glad to be here, and thanks for having me.
You're not retired at all, are you?
No.
What are you doing this weekend?
I have two cars with two engines in them, and so I'm just making sure that everything's good and running, and I picked up some more work as I hung out here, and that's the way it goes.
So Dan Binks, you're understated by saying you're busy. You actually built the motors in the cars that are competing here on Aaron's on Wheels Vintage Weekend.
That's right. I did two, one Corvette C6 GTLM car and Pratt & Miller Camaro, and they both have my engines in them. I do a lot of engines for people that have Pratt & Miller cars and other cars also. But anyways, they've been good customers, and I'm just doing some track support.
So I saw Dan Binks for the first time. I met him as he was a co-commentator with me, and Greg Kramer got it all figured out. He said, you guys need to be on these SCCA runoffs. 24 races in 3 days. Dan was one of the teams of experts. I was on the other half. I wouldn't call us experts, but that was a ton of fun. And you were very active as a team manager and a crew chief then. That was, 10 years ago, 12 years ago? I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
You were a TV star there for a little while.
For a little while. I was fairly famous, but anyways, yeah.
And when it comes to Road America, I know talking to Doug Phelan back in the day, he would come to our show on a Tuesday night, and he would come in and just sit down and chat because this was an important place. Road America was really key for preparing for Le Mans in his estimation. How important was Road America when you were involved with the team going over to Le Mans and winning the 24-hour? Even when you didn't win, how important is Road America to that process?
Yeah, we would come here every year in April or May, usually in April, just depending on the weather, but we would test here for 3 or 4 days before we went to France, and the track's actually very similar. It's similar in the rain, so we would test here in the rain also, and it's just a great place. Fast straightaways, and you can learn a lot here.
I was here in July, hanging out on Vintage Weekend. We were having a wonderful time, just chilling, watching Brad Dahmer go in circles. Matter of fact, Brad's car is here, and his wife Julie's car is behind us as well. We are enjoying what's here at this racetrack. There's 3 huge Vintage Weekends. But in July, I saw you on the false grid standing next to this beautiful Mountain Dew GT1, beautiful car that Colin Comer was driving. And I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm taking care of it for him. What do you get to do on that beautiful car that wasn't necessarily something you worked on the first time around?
Actually, I did work on it the first time around.
Oh, you did? I'm sorry. With Roush then?
It was Roush's car. It was driven by John Gooding, and it was Tommy Kendall's sister car. So I was the crew chief, team manager, whatever, at the same time there. So actually, Colin has 2 of those cars, and one he races here. And I don't do the engines for that car, but I do the race prep, the gearing, get it ready to run. And this weekend we didn't run it because we didn't get the engine back from the engine builder. So, but I came anyways to deal with my other cars.
Yeah, and you've got a lot of deals in the works. Let's talk about that engine that you had set on the pole position with Cody Swanson driving for Kevin Doran at the Lucas Oil Little 500 of all places. You went sprint car racing. You won the pole the first time out with Cody Swanson. Tell us how that came together.
Yeah, so I had supplied engine parts for Kevin Doran's racing sprint cars. back when they used those V6s, I had bought a lot of those parts from ASA cars, and some road race cars had them as well. And I would supply them engines and parts, and mostly just parts. And then he asked me about building a V8 for him, aluminum V8, LS based, and I built it for him. And the first race was a place Showtime Speedway down in Tampa. There,
I've been there. The home of the Joey Chitwood Thrill Show.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the very first sprint car race I ever went to with my engine, it sat on the pole and won the race.
That was the Dave Steele Sprint Car Championship. That's
right.
a really cool race to win.
Yep, and then we went to the Little 500, qualified on the pole, and finished second. And then this year, I'm not sure where we qualified, but we ended up crashing and ended up seventh. After we crashed, we fixed it and tie rod end and all that stuff. But the Little 500, if you haven't been to that, is just off the hook.
Hanging out with Dan Banks, who is again a world-renowned mechanic for Roush Racing, team manager and chief mechanic for all the years that Chevrolet really excelled and performed those yellow Camaros and yellow Corvettes. It's fun having you here, and I love seeing what you do because I got to be your friend on Facebook, and I'm like, okay, what's Binks up to now? I'm like, wait a minute. You're at a midget race. What are you doing at a midget race?
Yes.
You got a lot of things going.
I do have a lot of things going. I tell people I can't even quit right. I built my own midget engine. It's based on a Chevrolet loosely. And Bob East used it last year at the Chili Bowl with Damien. And I think we passed 74 cars on Thursday. And in the A-Main on Thursday night, we ended it and ended our night. But they knew we were there, and for me, the first time we were there, I learned a ton, and we have some big news coming on that. We can't talk about it yet, but we do have some big news coming for Dan Binks Racing at the Chili Bowl.
The thoughts and words of retired Dan Binks. Yeah.
And now I only work 60 hours a week.
Yeah, you got your own shop. I also was intrigued. You told me in July that you do a lot of work when it comes to steering components on pretty much cars like Brad Dahmer's GT1 car, Trans Am cars, current day and vintage cars. What do you do all with parts you've designed and help maintain?
So I make power steering racks. I use a variety of different power steering racks that are supplied by the OEs, and then I modify them to fit them into current Trans Am cars. My customers are Chris Dyson, Ken Twaits, Paul Gianlozzi. I make about between 30 and 50 of those a year. So that's been a good business for me. I built all the Corvette steering racks at Pratt & Miller for the past 20 years. And actually, I didn't build them for the C8. The C8 uses a new, really fancy one.
But you were C5 through, right? C5,
yeah,
C5, C6, C7?
C7 and C8. I went to Daytona with the C8. And then when they announced that they weren't going to Le Mans in 2020, I said, I'm probably going to be done here because I was hoping to race at Le Mans 20 times and was able to win it 6 times with Corvette Racing, and a chance of a lifetime to even go there 1 time and then go there 19 times and only win it 6 was, fair run. Should have won it 8 or 9 times, but hey, that's how it goes.
I love the fact that you know a lot. You're willing to apply that knowledge still. You're not just one of those guys like, I want an Idaho cabin and I don't want a phone. I want to just maybe send somebody something in the mail and that's it. I love the fact that you said I'm stepping away from that, but you really have a passion that I can tell the fire's all there still.
Oh yeah, it's still there. I can't quit well. I don't golf. I'm not good enough at that, and I can't. I don't watch sports, football or basketball or baseball. I'm not into that. I am just into car racing, and I migrated to the midgets and the sprint cars because there's virtually no rules. And my years at IMSA and running in France and all that.
Is this a big enough book? Finger to thumb, like 3 inches apart. That's the rule book you had to live in.
Oh yeah. I would read my dictionary and read the rule book, and then read my dictionary and read the rule book. And believe it or not, a lot of times we'd go to talk to those guys, and they'd be saying your car is illegal. And I said, well, we should go over what those words mean. And over and over again, they were like, I guess you have a point. And
So you worked with Roush really through his glory years on through to when they stopped the program roughly, right? When he focused more on NASCAR?
Yeah, so I did road racing with Jack. I think we won 4 or 5 24 hours, won Sebring 5 or 6 times. And then I did NASCAR Craftsman Trucks also, and with Greg Biffle. I was fortunate enough, I think I won, or I was part of, 5 championships there in 10 years. So pretty good run. Won the championship with Biffle. I changed rear tires and was the car chief on the number 50 Granger Ranger. I don't know if you remember that, but
the truck picture actually just showed up this week when the Milwaukee Mile was announced as a
right.
return to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series schedule, and it was the 50 truck on the backstretch.
That's right. It was so cool. We raced there. I love Milwaukee Mile, and I don't know how many people know, but we won 9 races in 2020. Sorry, 2000.
Yeah.
Craftsman Truck Championship, and that was actually Jack's first NASCAR championship. So that was pretty special. A group of road racers actually win Jack his first NASCAR championship. I never let him forget it.
You had a lot of squirrels coming through there too.
Oh yeah.
Robbie Gordon had never raced a car with a shifter in it before. You guys had him out at Daytona for the 24 hours. Like, okay, what do I do? You have to shift every lap. You don't just smash the gas.
So the first time he showed up, he didn't know he was going to race with other people. He thought he was going to run the whole thing by himself. Robbie Gordon, he's just a nut, And one time at Sebring, he was trying to kick the front windshield out in the rain. It was all fogged up, and he's trying to kick the window out as he's driving. There's no.
Because you could see better without a windshield.
Yeah,
obviously.
Well, he had driven all those off-road cars. I don't need a window. And Robbie, he's a piece of work. But man, I'm telling you, if him in his 20s was unbelievable.
Raw talent, natural talent. He still applies it when he can. Now his son's Max driving. I mean, you keep track of all that stuff too. What do you want to do next year? You want to do more of the same stuff? Are you too busy to think about what's going on next year yet?
Well, we got something coming for New Year's Eve.
Okay.
That we can't talk about yet, but very soon we will be able to. One of my engines on New Year's Eve, and then we're hoping for at least 1 engine at the Chili Bowl, possibly 2. We just have to see how it goes. It's the 1 engine's proven it'll run fine. The other engine is my mad scientist. You won't believe it. Once we can talk about it, you will not believe it. I tell people that I took all the ideas of a race engine and threw them out the window. It doesn't have any water, so just it's epic.
That sounds fun. I mean, for you, it's like you in the lab, close the door. What day is it? Who cares? How many weeks have I been in here? Who cares?
Yeah. How many days do I have to dream this up, and then how many days do I have to make it? And my 4-cylinder I made in 100 days. So from the day that I decided that I was going to do it, it started on the engine dyno at midnight, and it raced the next day at Anderson and was on the pole at Anderson its very first race. So I don't take that lightly, but I try to work harder than the next guy, and I dream pretty big, and I expect to do well.
Now you know I made up that name on the bottom of the screen. You see it says Dan Binks, Motorsports Legend. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, Dan, for a few minutes. I know you got a dinner to run off to, so I appreciate you cleaning up just for us.
All right.
Okay, you had a dinner, but
yeah.
He was wearing the black T-shirt when he stopped by earlier. He was full on. I'm glad you got the nails done. You're good.
Yeah,
looking good for dinner, man.
Yeah.
Dan, thank you.
All right, thanks for having me.
It's been a pleasure. Dan Binks joining us on the Racing Roundup Show. We're hanging out in Turn 14 Garage at Road America. It's a D'Angelo's Construction Roadshow brought to you by D&H Sales and Service and Lamer's Driving Experience for Charity. That driving experience is actually this coming Wednesday, September 21st. You get to take your part in one of 4 classes. They'll put you on the racetrack. You can drive, ride along, or spectate in a full day of on-track fun with 4 different driving groups right here at Road America for experienced drivers, intermediate, and novice, plus a race car-only class for lap times under 3 minutes. It's 100% tax deductible. It happens on Wednesday, September 21st. That's coming up real quick. Search on Facebook, Lamer's Driving Experience for Charity or Lamer's Motor Racing, and sign up today online at lmrdrivingexperience.com. We've got a lot of racers to talk to. We heard the engines calm down. The endurance race just ended. The nighttime begins. That's part of the fun, too, hanging out with a bunch of vintage racers here at Road America on Aaron's Art on Wheels Vintage Weekend. Come on back with us.
Thanks for tuning in to the Racing Roundup Show. Check out our website, racingroundupshow.com, and like our show on Facebook. Join us on Twitter and Instagram at Racing Roundup. We're coming right back after these messages from our awesome show sponsors.
Add value and beauty to your home or commercial property with professional landscaping from Central Services Company, Incorporated. The team at Central Services is their personal choice of over 45 years of satisfied customers in Southeast Wisconsin for landscape design, construction, and grounds maintenance. Call Central Services at 262-548-0005 for all your landscaping and lawn care needs. No job is too large or too small. From lawn fertilization and weed control to award-winning landscape construction and building your backyard patio oasis, Central Services is your full-service landscape company. Call the experts at Central Services at 262-548-0005 for a free, no-obligation consultation at your home or business. Find out why Central Services can provide you with the visual difference in the art of landscaping and lawn care. Call 262-548-0005. Essential Services, the visual difference in landscaping.
Bobby Gutnick and the technicians at Oak Creek Automotive on South 27th Street in Drexel are experts in automotive repair. For over 30 years and counting, the Napa Certified Car Care Center at Oak Creek Automotive handles emissions testing plus minor to major repair, from oil changes to engine and transmission replacement. Call Oak Creek Automotive 414-761-3250. They're open for your convenience Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. and Friday, 7 a.m. till 6 p.m. For all your vehicle repair needs, head to South 27th Street and Drexel to the pros at Oak Creek Automotive.
Get your whole family involved in affordable, competitive kart racing at Millwright Raceway in Dousman, Wisconsin, home of the Badger Kart Club. Walk the pit area, talk to racers, and check out the action from the grandstands. There's a play area for the kids and great food at the concession stand. Spectator admission is free. Badger Kart Club points racers and National Touring Series race on the challenging paved road course most Sundays from April through September. Badger Kart Club is well established and well respected. There's 15 classes and over 100 drivers racing every week. From ages 5 to 75, kart racing offers competition for generations of racers of all ages. Bring the kids and check out kart racing for yourself at one of America's finest kart tracks. This is where Alan Kowicki, Danica Patrick, Sam Mayer, and Josh Palicki got their start. Millwright Raceway is just south of I-94 in Dousman, 35 miles west of Milwaukee, and 45 miles east of Madison. For all the latest information, directions, and race schedule, visit BadgerKartClub.com.
ARR has been recycling for over 80 years and is here to help you with your spring cleaning. Take them your recyclable metals and they'll pay you cash. ARR buys aluminum, brass, copper, lead, and steel. And contractors, ARR has a bonus program just for you that puts more cash in your pocket. Find their full list of accepted materials at ARR1938.com. ARR with locations in West Dallas, Waukesha, and Milwaukee, right next to Miller Park. ARR Recycling since 1938.
Need a pack and move? Well, we do a lot of them. And we have all the proper materials to pack your belongings safe and sound so they arrive in the same condition as they went out in. Packing boxes, bubble wrap, mirror packs, lamp boxes, dish packs. We get the job done right. Packed and labeled properly so it all ends up in the right spot in your new place. This is Rick Vanderboom. Blue Mountain Express Moving and Storage will improve your move.
BlueMountainExpress.com. We will improve your move.
Statewide.
D&H Sales and Service is Sheboygan County's largest steel and outdoor power equipment dealer. Since 2003, owner Brad Dahmer and D&H Sales and Service strives to offer you the best brands with leading manufacturers such as Aaron's, Gravely, Ferris, Simplicity, Snapper, Steel, Wright, and Toro. Each brand is backed by a stocked parts department and the highest level of customer service. All of our inventory is online at SheboyganPowerCenter.com, and when you buy from D&H, you will be shown how to safely operate your ready-to-use equipment. We have over 80 feet of steel display, and we have over 75 pieces of steel equipment in stock. D&H is Sheboygan County's only Briggs & Stratton diamond dealer with a master service technician and factory-trained service department. D&H Sales and Service is conveniently located off of I-43 in Sheboygan and is an authorized service and warranty center for most brands on the market. We'll service almost any brand of small engine equipment. Call us for details at 920-458-1865. D&H Sales and Service also offers pickup and delivery to Sheboygan, Manitowoc, and Ozaukee counties. Search D&H Sales and Service on Facebook or log on to SheboyganPowerCenter.com today.
Welcome back on the Racing Roundup Show. We're hanging out year 38 in the garage at Road America. What a beautiful afternoon. It's going to be a great weekend of racing here. The Aaron's Art on Wheels weekend. We got a bunch of people standing over there watching this show because they're done for the day. They got a beverage or two in hand. I could smell the MOAS, M-O-A-S. That's the spelling for Mother of All Smokers. That's Brad Dahmer's little project with the Hoosier 10-inchers on it. That's how he gets it to and from the track. It smells delicious. It's a big smoker. But more importantly, we're having a ball. We can't thank you guys for what you're doing. We can't thank the enjoyment we get here at Road America every time we come here. And this is a big weekend. On track today, on track tomorrow, on track on Sunday. And to help us preview this big weekend, let's welcome in Brad Dahmer and Lance Wiskershin. They're both racing GT1. And Julie Dahmer, who just got off the track a little while ago in her Mazda Miata. Welcome to the show, guys and gal. How are you?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us, and thanks for you guys for coming out.
Bradley, thank you for your support. D&H Sales and Service presenting this program. You got a lot going on here, Brad. You've got your car, you got Julie's car, you've got people over there. You got a professional chef manning the MOAS.
Yeah, we got a couple professional chefs this weekend.
He's right there. He knows what's going on. The smoker, you don't have to stand over, which I kind of like that idea.
Yeah, he keeps it in right at the right temperatures for us.
So when it comes to this race weekend, what have you done thus far on track? Lance, we'll start with you. What did you do today, and what car are you driving this weekend?
I'm driving the purple number 33 Old Boris said Mustang. Today was not very fun.
How come?
A lot of traffic with the Group 8 cars on track with us.
So what kind of cars are those that you have to dodge around? Because you guys are probably a lot faster.
Slow Datsuns and slow Porsches. It's just wasn't conducive to cars this fast.
So when it comes to these vintage weekends, classes are grouped together, and obviously you guys didn't have a choice in pairing up with what classes you thought might have been a little more compatible.
Unfortunately, not today, but
Yeah.
I think tomorrow will be a lot better.
So you're switching class groupings?
Well, it'll just be a Group 9 by itself tomorrow.
Oh, okay. All right. Brad, how much fun was that driving around like a frogger in a chicane?
It was really interesting. A lot of oil on the track, a lot of cars off the track. It's scary for us in a fast car being out there with the slow cars, and it's just as scary for the slow cars being with a fast car. It was not an ideal situation.
So when you guys get a chance tomorrow to go, will it be a full-on, now I know what I have, or did you get enough track time by yourself today to get a gauge on what you want to play with the rest of the weekend?
I think today we got good brake pedals, no leaks, no vibrations. I probably got good speeds in all the turns at a lot of different separate times. So I think we'll be good, and we learned a lot today. And Lance was fortunate enough to be able to practice yesterday, which was good because he had a lot of nice track time by himself. Open track, anyways.
And Lance, I was glad to hear that you wanted to be on the show because Brad's like, we're getting Lance on. I said, great. I met him last year at the barbecue after the race weekend. And I said, Lance, hope you're not too far away. He's like, no, I'm not wearing shoes right now, and I'm parked right there next to these guys. You know where the action is,
Correct,
Lance.
no shoes still.
It's got to be fun on these weekends, though, getting the camaraderie and knowing how hard you guys work on these cars and get them to where you can actually race them. I mean, it's a lot of work, isn't it?
No, racing here is amazing between friends and family and just the random people you meet, but it's great here.
The car behind us is Brad Dahmer's GT1 car. You have other cars as well. What's in your garage, Brad? We'll get to Lance's garage in a minute.
This car here, and then I have a 09 Gibbs Cup car, and then I got another 09 Gibbs Cup car that was wrecked that we put the 70 Chevelle body on. A lot of people have seen out here.
Yeah.
I had a GT2 car, but we sold that. And Julie's Miata, and we're in the process of building a 97 Camaro to run the Champ race out here for Julie and her team that she assembles.
So the Champ car, which was Chump car, is actually racing at Road America. Is it next weekend already?
Next weekend, yeah. It's 8 hours Saturday, 7 hours Sunday, so it's a 15-hour enduro.
So, Julie, the car we see behind you is your race car. Your Mazda Miata car that you get to race here at Road America. You just came off the track, I want to say, an hour and a half ago, something like that.
Yeah.
What was your day like today?
It was good. I got two 50-minute sessions. I ran because Brad told me you need to run on those old tires, so I put old tires on, and I learned a lot, and I'm glad that I was on those old tires. It was
How
good.
hard was it for you to say yes when Brad said, you come to the racetrack, I've got this shop full of cars, we're getting you one? Was it a surprise to you that he got you a car, or did you ask for it?
I guess I had shot my mouth off about getting into a car at some point, and he surprised me with one, and I was, very surprised. So
Yeah, I believe the conversation was, I've always wanted to do it. I always have to go to the track. I wish I could do it. And I'm like, wow, you should have said something 25 years ago.
I love one of the stickers. It's on the smoker. It says, turning money into speed for 25 years. Is that what it says?
Turning money into noise for
Noise,
32
sorry.
years.
30, how many?
32.
Wow. So if you don't know, Brad Dahmer is a native of the area. You've got friends and family that come from all over, or they're still here. My gig announcing a weekly racetrack began at Plymouth Dirt Track in 1989, and you were racing a hobby stock then. That's a while ago.
Yeah, 65 Chevelle.
It was cool.
Yep.
Still had the 45 on the door.
Yep, 45 back then, 45 now.
You ran dirt, you ran modifieds, you ran pavement at Slinger, you ran the NASCAR Elite Series, and then you said, wait a minute, I want to go road racing a lot.
Mid-America, asphalt
That's right,
modifieds.
that's right, yeah.
I actually ran out here in 99 and 2000 in the Mid-Am Series. So I got a taste of the track. It was nothing like it is now.
Was that when Dick Trickle was in your race?
Yep, Trickle and Jeff Storm and a lot of those guys were the Southwest Tour.
160 some miles an hour.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Probably.
In a Mid-Am car.
Yeah, not quite, but yeah.
It's still crazy to think about. It's just, junkyard front end stuff. No, I'm not saying junkyard. It's stock, though.
Yeah.
When it comes to these cars, Lance, when you said, I want to go road racing, was this the first car you chose to race? The car that you now have with the history with Boris?
No, I have another GT1 car at home, an old Claudio Burton car. It's the Silver Mustang. I think quite a few people have seen it out here before. Jumped into that and came to Road America.
Wow. How many years ago was that when you first started coming?
5 years ago.
That's soon.
Yeah, I took the Road America instruction track days or whatever you might want to call it.
Yeah.
That Road America puts on and jumped in a GT1 car.
That's like Brad going from bicycles to a Mid-Am car going 169 miles an hour around Road America. That's kind of a big jump. What's the thrill you get, though? That car has to stick like glue. It's got to be a ball to drive.
They are just amazing creatures. The throttle response, the horsepower, the braking, the turning. It's, before I bought the car, or a GT1 car, like, what's it like in the thing? Words can't describe it. You just have to do it or try it.
Lance, when it comes to racing, you've got a chance to race this car this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
What do you key on when you come to these weekends? Is it a matter of getting a podium finish? Is it a matter of finding speed because you changed something in the exhaust tuning? I mean, when it goes through this, you guys have, 3 chances if you come to every vintage weekend here to race?
Well, the first thing is have nothing to break or fail, motor blow up, tranny. And otherwise, I like to focus on lap times, try to improve a corner here, improve a corner there. Podium is always great, but a weekend that doesn't have carnage or a blown motor or tranny is usually a success in my book.
We're at the bottom of turn 14. The paddock goes up the hill all along the front stretch. There's cars everywhere, over 300 cars here this weekend. Do you ever get a chance to see a car you haven't seen before and then go find it and go talk to the guy that may be racing in your class, or you just thought, hey, man, that's a cool piece. I need to find out what that guy's got going on?
I guess I don't really go out of my way.
Okay.
Just stick to our group here. And but I had the conversations with other drivers. It's always fun. But
Lance Wiskerson joining us. Your shirt says Motor Masters. If you've seen that name before, I've seen it plenty of times at Slinger Speedway. They build your motors. So that's kind of cool. That's a Wisconsin connection to what you get to do. Well, who else is involved with your car?
So George and Sherry Forge from Motor Masters, Race Tech Chassis from Nina, and friends and family who help keep it maintained and bring it here and keep it alive, essentially.
That's really cool. You get a chance to do that together. Julie, your Mazda Miata has a bunch of decals on it.
Yes.
It's got your cat that's on this mug right here.
Most important.
Cat Frenchie. This decal was made by a friend of theirs. It's a Cat Frenchie in the Chevelle. That's kind of cool. That's on your race car. What else is on your race car, Julie?
Just Orthodontics, real estate agent Tracy Schmidt, Mark's Barbecue and Grill, who is here this weekend for us, Grenke Acres, and Holton Family Farms.
And when it comes to this race car, I know Brad has a really cool shop. He's got some lifts in there. He's got some cars that you can look at, and you can get parts and see where the parts are coming from. How involved are you in getting this car prepped, and how involved are you getting now that you're doing this more often?
Well, I'm doing my tires, and at the shop, I pretty much just show up the weekend before we have to load and do what I have to do to do my part. I'm learning as I go. Brad's a really good teacher.
But I saw you roll in here. You got the jack out right away. You got the jack stands underneath it.
Well, I don't waste time. I like to get stuff done right away so I can just sit back. So
It's the UPS center.
yes.
No, I
That's a good thing.
take care of everything at the shop, but when it gets to the track here, she pretty much takes care of everything she's comfortable doing. Pretty much everything. Tires, swapping, jacking it up and down, bleeding the brakes.
So we've got a couple of Miatas sitting next to us. This is actually the garage, the Lester Buildings garage that I think Mazda folks had them build here in Toward 14, where there's road racing going on. It's the biggest class, I think, every time I see the June Sprints entry list. It's 70-some cars. I don't know how many are in this week's weekend's car count, Julie, but it's got to be a lot of fun racing with these guys, but it also has to be very, very competitive. I've seen bump drafting. I've seen, nose-to-tail stuff, 10 cars long in a train.
Yeah,
it gets pretty intense.
That's SCA stuff usually. That's pretty intense. The June Sprints are very intense. But a lot of us, we all just like to hang out and talk about how the track was. And it's more fun because we follow each other, or one's faster. I just go, It's fun to watch them, try to catch up with them.
So we're in Elkhart Lake. We're not that far from Sheboygan. We're not that far off of I-43 where you see D&H Sales and Service. Next door is the shop with the big padlock on it. You got to be invited in there. But Brad, you got a lot of stuff going on at D&H Sales and Service, and I can't thank you enough about how you and Teresa and the gang have helped us with our show. But I want to help people know that you guys have a lot going on, especially this change of season now. What's cooking on the showroom floor and what's in the service department right now at D&H?
Truckloads and truckloads of snowblowers coming in, so hope it snows a lot.
And I don't.
That's a discussion at our house. So I'm happy when it snows. She's got to drive in it. It's like white gold.
You also got, when it rains a lot, you got some service gold coming when the mowers don't run just right. You guys have a great service department too.
Yeah, we got we carry a lot of the top brands and pretty much service everything. So I would say our service department is one of the largest in the 5 counties of this area as far as, between diesel, gas, and fuel injected stuff. We have all the equipment and the certified technicians to fix it.
And last I was in there, you guys just carried some more equipment or a new generator line. How's that going?
Good. We picked up Furman. We had a big storm come through here in June, and pretty much when that happens, everybody sells out of generators. And what happened was my shop filled up with about 65 generators made in China that wouldn't run and whatnot and can't get parts for. So I searched out that brand Furman, which has a really good warranty and reliability and good ratings. So they've been it's a slow start because obviously people only buy stuff like that when they really need it, but it's getting in better with the camping and the racing world. So we're selling a couple here and there, so it should take off.
So Sheboygan Power Equipment, one of the coolest websites you'll ever see for a lawn and garden and outdoor power equipment service. And I also know that if you need anything for your steel handheld power equipment, they got it. They have it in stock. It's on the wall. It's in the box right behind it. They got 3 of them. I mean, you guys have a lot of inventory there.
Yeah, we have, I think, about 80 feet of wall of steel equipment. We just added another 25 feet because with the battery-powered stuff, which I'm not a fan of, but it's coming. It's going to happen.
Please no.
Please no.
And guess what? They have to keep buying batteries, just like they have to keep putting gas in it.
Yeah, that's just something about trimming your lawn, and it sounds like a Dyson.
All right, we're going back to the schedule here. Road America. We know our D&H Sales and Service is. You need to go to SheboyganPowerEquipment.com. That's the website to find out what Brad does to help feed this habit, because it's really cool to know you guys are on the track today. I'm looking at the schedule tomorrow. You can find yourself at RoadAmerica.com. By all means, come on down. Tomorrow is a big day. There's a big dinner tomorrow night for the women in motorsports. There's a lot of speakers. There's a lot of interest going on this weekend. Lynn St. James is here. But that banquet happens at the end of a long day tomorrow. Julie, when does your day start? And what are you going to be doing, racing and qualifying tomorrow and Sunday?
Yes, qualifying at tomorrow is at 8:50, so early. And then there's a race in the afternoon.
All right. And Brad, what's your schedule? I know it's probably going to be the same as Lance's. You're in the same class.
Yeah, I think we're 10:50 and 3:30-ish or something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So when you qualify as your own group,
Correct.
Yep.
you guys just to go rip it for, what, 10, 15 minutes, something like that? Put your best lap down?
15, 20 minutes.
All right. So can you almost use that as another test session because you have more track time Sunday coming?
Absolutely. There's
Okay.
just not enough time to change anything.
And Brad, you and I talked off air about tires. How have you guys found what you need for shoes on these GT1 cars?
Well, I'm just using up all the junk I have because the season's over. And I'm not. When I say junk, they're brand new tires. They were bad purchases. So my car's a little bit more unique. I can run a bias ply or a radial, and I got some radials I'm just running off this weekend just to get rid of them.
Lance, what do you got going for tires and all that stuff?
I don't have any tire trouble, but Joe at Race Tech always provides me with good Hoosiers. So
Great. Tomorrow and Sunday. So if you want to come down, the schedule is there. You now know when the GT1 cars are out. You now know when Julie is racing her Mazda Miata. There's 300 or so cars here this weekend. It's called the Aaron Art on Wheels Vintage Weekend because it truly is a spectacle. You got to come down, and just walking around is amazing. And we can't thank you guys enough for blowing out one of these stalls for us here in the garage in the Turn 14. Brad, Lance, Julie, thank you. How about a nice hand for these guys for coming on the show? Appreciate it.
Thank you.
As we expect, we're going to have another guest on. Brad Dahmer, I glued the chair. He cannot get up. He's actually super glued to the chair. So Brad will stay here. We're going to swap out Lance and Julie. And we're going to continue with another special D'Angelo's Construction Roadshow brought to you by Lamer's Driving Experience for Charity and D&H Sales and Service in Sheboygan. We're at Road America. We're coming right back after these words.
Thanks for tuning in to the Racing Roundup Show. Check out our website, racingroundupshow.com, and like our show on Facebook. Join us on Twitter and Instagram at Racing Roundup. We're coming right back after these messages from our awesome show sponsors.
Automatic Transmission Design is located in Germantown, Wisconsin. They've been hard at work the last 15 years in perfecting the best performance racing transmissions and converters. The folks at ATD have made it possible to offer the best quality and most affordably priced winning components for off-road, drag racing, truck pulling, and circle track applications. ATD may not be the biggest or most famous company in the marketplace, but they have the will and put in that extra effort to provide you with the best products available. ATD's certified technicians go through a comprehensive quality checklist on every transmission and converter they build. Then it's tested on their in-house dyno. Only then is the product ready for shipment to the customer. ATD takes these steps to provide you with the best quality products every time. They are 100% guaranteed. Their no returns policy makes sure it's right the first time. The next time you need a performance transmission or converter, give Charlie a call at 262-251-7777 or visit autotransdesign.com.
Interstate Batteries, proud sponsor of the Racing Roundup Show and the number 18 of Joe Gibbs Racing. Interstate Batteries is the #1 replacement battery in North America. You deserve the best, so get the best. Go to interstatebatteries.com. Go to interstatebatteries.com to find a dealer near you. Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable. Get yours today. Race on.
Get your whole family involved in affordable, competitive kart racing at Millwright Raceway in Dousman, Wisconsin, home of the Badger Kart Club. Walk the pit area, talk to racers, and check out the action from the grandstands. There's a play area for the kids and great food at the concession stand. Spectator admission is free. Badger Kart Club points racers and National Touring Series race on the challenging paved road course most Sundays from April through September. Badger Kart Club is well established and well respected. There's 15 classes and over 100 drivers racing every week. From ages 5 to 75, kart racing offers competition for generations of racers of all ages. Bring the kids and check out kart racing for yourself at one of America's finest kart tracks. This is where Alan Kowicki, Danica Patrick, Sam Mayer, and Josh Palicki got their start. Millwright Raceway is just south of I-94 in Dousman, 35 miles west of Milwaukee, and 45 miles east of Madison. For all the latest information, directions, and race schedule, visit BadgerKartClub.com. Eliminate the hassles of planning a trip to the races. Hook up with Boring Bob's escorted NASCAR racing tours. Boring Bob offers transportation, lodging, race tickets, nightlife, shuttle service, and more. Boring Bob knows all the back roads into and out of the racetrack to get you in and out fast. Pick one or pick them all. Go in style to Daytona, Bristol, Phoenix, Las Vegas, and more. He has decades of experience and industry contacts galore. You name the race, let Boring Bob do the rest. Call Boring Bob today to make plans now to go on one of Boring Bob's famous escorted NASCAR racing tours. Boring Bob's always at 414-321-1307. That's 414-321-1307.
This is America's longest running weekly motorsports program, held in front of a live audience. Stay up to speed on the Wisconsin racing scene, NASCAR, and the world of motorsports every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central. Thanks for joining us for the Racing Roundup Show. Once again, here is the trackside voice of the Daytona 500 and NASCAR at the track. You see him on MAV TV's live coverage of the Lucas Oil Chili Bowl and the ARCA Menard Series. The host of the Racing Roundup Show, Jim Trado.
Hey guys and gals, thanks again for joining us for another special edition of the Racing Roundup Show. It's a D'Angelo's Construction Road Show. We're hanging out with you in Turn 14 Garage. We've got now, sun is now getting blocked by the shade of the clouds. It's going to set here in a little while. The evening festivities begin. 2 more full days of racing here at Road America on the Aaron's Art on Wheels weekend. Thanks to D'Angelo's Construction for their involvement on the show. D'Angelo's Construction is a racing family business serving Milwaukee since 1982 with their trucking, snow plowing, and expert concrete work. They lay only the best commercial and residential concrete and will work with you to make your designs and ideas come to life, including stamped concrete and decorative displays. You got an idea? They got it for you. Go online right now to D'AngelosConstructionLLC.com and find out more. Brad Dahmer is glued to his chair. He can't go anywhere. But we also brought in 2 friends of his. He said, we got to get these guys on. I said, absolutely. Brad, do the fine introduction, please, of our next 2 guests.
Colin Comer and Jessica John.
Welcome to the Racing Roundup Show. Thanks for spending a few minutes.
Thank you.
So we had Dan Binks on early in the show. We talked about the beautiful Mustang that he got to finish tuning, I guess, for you, Colin, that you get to race here It's a beautiful Roush Mustang that you have now gotten the hold of, and you've done really well with. How much fun is that driving that beautiful Mustang GT1 car around Road America, Colin?
No, there's nothing like a Trans Am car, and a Roush Trans Am car is like top of the food chain. So, as a kid, I came here and watched that very car race at Road America. So to be on the other side of the fence driving it is pretty cool. So, and it's a little bit faster now than it used to be because we made stuff better.
So my brother races vintage karts, so follow me along in this thread. So he raced karts in the early 80s, and he spent every nickel he could to race these things around the country, sprint sit-up karts. He went national with WK. Well, he's now back vintage racing. I said, wait a minute. How old's the kart? The kart I drove in the 80s. How's the engine? It's the engine I could never afford to have in my car, but now I get the chance to buy an engine that goes faster than I ever did.
Yeah, that's true, because in the 80s we spent those nickels you talked about, but now we spend like $20 bills.
And a lot more than that. It takes a lot to get to the racetrack.
No, my wife's here. It's no more than $20 bills.
20. I saw 2 of them in his pocket.
Yeah.
She's going to get both of those because it's a joint account, right? She knows where those are.
There's one joint account. There's one race car account. Oh, shit.
Shucks. Colin Comer, when it comes to these race cars, though, you've been here before. I was on the false grid in July. Binks was standing over your car, kind of looking it over, and you flew around this racetrack. What do you expect to do this weekend now that you're back to back up that speed you had here in July?
Well, I'll be doing a little different speed this weekend because in July I was using the backup engine in the Mountain Dew car because the primary engine has been waiting for pistons. And in July I blew up the backup engine and it needs pistons, so now we're waiting for pistons for 2 engines. So I have 0 engines for the Mountain Dew car.
So you cut the floorboard out in your Fred Flintstone around here then? Is that what you're doing?
I'm driving a 1958 Austin Healey Sprite that has 1,275 cc's.
A little different.
4 cylinders.
Probably corners like a dream though, right? A little bit of lean.
The cool thing is that when you go from a car with like 800 horsepower to a car with 125 horsepower, you never lift off the gas pedal.
Wow.
It's really cool. You just drift it. It's like dirt tracking it.
That's really cool. I'd never thought of it that way, but
Yeah.
you're
Come and watch.
behind the wheel, not me.
Yeah, no, it's fun. Come watch tomorrow. It just slides around the whole track.
What's your schedule going to be, Colin?
8:25 in the morning, and then sometime after that.
You just need to know you got to be ready and in the false grid by like 8:10.
I go one session at a time because they do blow up.
But you only have the one. Well, forget it. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Jessica Junk joins us as well. Jessica, you don't race a Sprite. You don't race a GT1 car. You're here in a BMW. What class are you racing, and what kind of Beamer do you get to drive?
I'm in a 1989 BMW 325i, and I was in Group 8 with Julie, and then they moved us to Group 6. So we're running with the Mustangs, Camaros, and Corvettes. So we get to watch our mirrors a lot and look for each other because we're going to be passed a lot. We're going to be friends on the track because it's just us.
So how different was that then? I mean, that's a big change. You were probably more comparable to a Miata in speed, I'm guessing.
Yes, because my engine's still pretty much stock. I don't have the horsepower. They just blow past me on the straights. I can kind of catch them in the corners, but as soon as I get close, they pull away again. So I'm just by myself a lot.
What got you into this?
My dad started racing back in 1995, so I've been coming here since then. And then I started working at Road America when I was 12, and this is actually my 20th anniversary working here.
What do you do?
I run timesheets, grids, I help grid, I take pictures, I video, and then I also do social media for some of the race organizations.
Wow.
She's the unofficial everything of Road America.
Good guest lineup here, Brad. You got some questions for her because you race here. She's probably handing you sheets, or are you actually hoping she comes by and says, "Here's your sheet"?
No, actually, she sends me some phenomenal pictures of my cars. I got to give her a really good shout out.
So all the cool pictures I see on your Facebook page are Jessica's?
Probably 30% of them. She does a phenomenal job, and
awesome.
She's very polite to allow us to actually use them and have them. Some photographers like to have their watermarks and want money for them, but no, what she does for the track it's phenomenal.
And thanks to you, can make decals like this, Jessica, with his cat in the car. How much fun is that, knowing how involved you are now? I didn't know that, but how involved? I mean, it's got to be a joy knowing you've got so many different things you can do on a race weekend.
Yeah, actually today I was gridding the race I was in, so my dad started it. We just did the Enduro, and he did 8 laps, came in so I could change. I hopped in the car, finished it, then I ran up to the tower, got the race results, printed them, dropped them off, and now I ran down here.
I was thinking that you'd be doing orange slices and maybe some kind of fan sitting in front of you in between your driving stints.
I mean, I wish. That would be the dream, but...
Oh, okay. No?
Nope, not yet.
Would you prefer it any other way?
No, I like being busy. When I have nothing to do, I don't know what to do with myself. If I'm just racing, I feel like I should be doing something else. If I sit on the grid, I'm like, I should be up there helping them. I should be doing something. But yeah, I like staying busy and just running around from sun up to sundown.
So your schedule is over finally for the day. What time does your schedule start tomorrow before you get on the racetrack?
I'm guessing 7 a.m.
Okay.
Depends on.
Gates open at 7 every day.
Depends on what they ask me to do in the morning, so we'll see.
Well, that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And what do you know what time your qualifying session is in the morning and when you're racing this weekend?
I honestly don't
Okay.
because they just switched me to Group 6 and I do my other group time, but
Okay.
no, I guess I'll wing it tomorrow too.
Well, I do know something. You just came off the racetrack, which is really cool. That was the cars that were on the track when we started this program at 6. What was that enduro like? You said you swapped driving opportunities with your dad. How'd you guys do overall? And what was your performance evaluation from the race that just ended?
I went 1 second faster than my dad, so I would like to point that out.
When is Dad here right now?
No.
Okay.
But we started like mid-pack, and I think we finished basically where we started. We had a lot of open-wheel cars, so there was a huge speed differential. The open-wheel cars can just catch you like there's no tomorrow. I look in my rearview mirror and I don't see them. Then as soon as I hit the corner, they're right on you.
I don't drive around this racetrack. I actually did 1 3-hour Skip Barber here on the back half with Duck Waddle. It was awesome. It's like in 1990, 91, something like that in the form of the Ford. So I don't have any relative experience. When it's that situation, what do you have to do to make sure they have the respect and the right of way and you're still trying to make your line and race for a position?
It's nice because I think we've all raced together enough and done enough enduros together where we can predict each other. And usually if I see them coming, I'll get offline and let them pass me and then go back online and follow them. And even if we're trying to pass lower cars, it's trying to be respectful and make sure that they see you and wait for a point by. But if you don't get one, I usually wait for a straightaway so I'm not pushing them off the track.
And do you race anywhere else besides Road America?
I've raced at COTA in Austin, Texas. I race a lot at Brainerd. I do SCCA there too. I race with a lot of Miatas up there, and they're all crazy fast because we don't have straightaways there.
It's only a mile-long drag strip, and then you got to turn like a really high rate of speed. I remember that.
Yep. It's a really fun track. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones I've done.
That's a lot.
Yeah, VIR I think I've done recently, but yeah.
Is it for points?
SCCA is for points. I didn't chase points this year because my dad and I were building our new car, which is what I'm racing this weekend. And I didn't have time to do SCCA 2 and try to help my dad set up the new car.
Jessica, we like this show because we get the opportunity to talk to a whole different bunch of racers every chance we do this on a Tuesday, now on a Saturday here at Road America. Who is involved with this car? You said your dad helped you build it. Who else is involved in the car? Who's on the race car? Who's helping support your cause?
Jason Anderson from Minneapolis. He's been helping us for, I think, 25 years. He grew up sweeping the shop floors of the engine builder that my dad used, and then he made his own shop, and so he's been doing both of my engine heads, helping us get everything ready, and if he has like 2 days of downtime throughout the year, then he'll tinker with my dirt bike engines.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of fun. Who's here this weekend helping you?
Just my dad, and then Jason's here spectating and just making sure that we all stay on the track.
So when he walks by with the wheelie cooler, what do? Do you look at him funny? Does he look at you funny, or does he just stay away because he might have to work on the thing if he's near you?
Oh, I try to put my dad in the car so I can go work, and he's like, no, you go. He's like, you go out there.
Colin Comer, our Mark Goodman here is helping us out. He's got the Pinto out over next to the garage area. He said, I recognize you, Colin, from the Haggerty magazine that he gets every month. What are you doing in Haggerty magazine?
Well, I write a column every month in Haggerty's magazine.
What's
so
this month's about?
I don't know. I usually, there's like 3 or 4 in the hopper, so
okay.
I forget what I wrote for something because I'm probably 3 columns ahead of it. But
I do a weekly show, and I forget what I did last week. So
I don't even know where I am right now. So
okay.
I think
you're at Road America. It's turned 14.
That's good. I'm driving a small bore car. I have no idea who I am this weekend at all. So.
Hey, but writers get all these spiffs, though. You probably get a chance to drive something different, or hey, try my car out, or hey, we got this new BMW 325i setup with a new suspension that Jessica's dad built. Yeah. Try it out. What do you think? You want to write about it?
I have been blacklisted from a number of manufacturers when I was road testing cars for magazines because I would tell the truth. There's a company in Las Vegas that builds cars with a snake on them, and I took one to Groton, and I jumped it, and the springs fell out, and I wrote about it, and they don't let me test drive their cars anymore.
That shall be a discussion for another time. What? You got that. I love this car. I love it. I was at that garage once. I drove by one. That's a big garage. When it comes to racing, though, Colin, you've got it in your blood. How did this start for you? How did this passion develop? And now you get to drive all these cool race cars.
Well, it started for me when I got, I was a kid. I was running around go-karts and dirt bikes and all that kind of stuff. And I got my license, and I was getting a little bit of trouble, going a little bit too fast here and there once in a while. And close proximity to Road America, and I thought, well, I'm going to go do a driver's school and get my license and start doing track days here and then club racing. And, here I am. I never had enough money to drink or do drugs or anything. It's been great for me.
But think of all the money you put into this instead of maybe like buying new shoes if you had to and stuff like that.
You see how I'm dressed, right? I mean,
You look good. You look good.
I'm not spending money on anything other than car parts. I can assure you that.
But as a motorsports journalist, every now and then I got like free Marlboro pens with a hanging string on them and stuff like that. You got some pretty good swag, don't you?
Oh, totally. I got tons of polo shirts, backpacks, can koozies, you name it. I mean, there's baseball caps.
Yeah.
This baseball cap.
That's
all
a
these
free
baseball
one?
caps. That's a Haggerty one.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a good
I couldn't
one.
tell.
Yeah.
So do you actually have to go to the auctions then, hang out?
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
I do. Well, my real job is I'm in the collector car business, so I buy and sell collector cars. So I've been going to collector car auctions for decades and decades. But yeah, so I do the writing on the side for Haggerty, and I write some books and that kind of thing. So, just whatever involves cars, I like doing it.
So I'm trying not to put you on the spot, but I'm fascinated by what you get to do for what you do. When it comes to pricing or a specific car that a customer wants, or a car comes across and it has a price tag on it, you go, huh? How much? Why that much? What is the most overpriced car that you can think of that comes to mind right now that you either saw or had to write about or just said, wait a minute, that thing is worth how much now?
I think right now, every new car out there is overpriced because people are paying like $50,000 over sticker for Cadillac Escalades. So I don't know what's going on, but I think it's kind of crazy. But I think the smart money is buying old race cars because you'd never lose a dime on them.
There's some disparaging laughter out here, Colin. They're not
Well,
with
I
you on
mean,
that.
Julie's here, my wife's here.
Right. Look how much fun we're having. We're just talking in the garage, lights are on. Two guys are blushing next to me for some reason, trying to get out of this conversation. That ain't going to work.
I mean,
got the microphone.
Ashley's right over there. I mean, come on, let's take it easy, man.
But Brad, you got to chime in here. This is just a passion. You guys love the speed, you love the involvement, and this camaraderie. When I asked you about who would you like to come on the show, I mean, you guys seem like you're very different in comparison to what they do and what you do, but this brings you all together.
Yeah, and I've raced with Colin now, I don't know, probably 7-8 years, and I've known Jessica probably a little closer the last 3 or 4, but I've seen her out here as long as I've been coming here on her dirt bike.
Probably never standing still, I'm guessing. This is probably the longest you've seen her stay in one spot.
Yeah. So my thing with Colin is, we race each other and whatnot, and then a couple years back, this crazy guy was out here in a cup car, and like I thought for sure I was going to dump this guy. He was just a complete cannon in front of me, and so I see Colin coming up in my rearview mirror, and I'm like, go ahead. This is going to be great to watch, and it was good to watch. So both of us had a conversation with the fella afterwards and let him know that it was vintage racing after all. But
Did he
then we became
yell at
pretty
you
close.
first or me first?
I went over and talked to him, and then he yelled at me.
So you guys were waiting to talk to him about what he should be doing, and he came over yelling at you guys.
We both yelled at Dorsey Schrader together, and then I think I went over by him, and then he called me names.
This clown had no rearview mirrors on his stock car, and I put 2 wheels off and just went outside and went around him because I was tired of waiting. And then he cussed out Brad, and he came over and cussed out me, and Brad came over and said, that guy come over and yell at you? I said, yeah. I said, well, let's go over and yell at him together. So we went over and he hid in his trailer.
Yeah, pretty much.
And we just stood outside his trailer until he came out.
And then he went home.
And then he lit up a cigar and told us we didn't know what we were talking about.
Yeah.
And the next day he was gone.
Wow.
And we became better friends.
Yeah, he had a nickname. He had a nickname for Brad.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I can tell you about it after the show.
Okay.
Initials
Moaz.
PAB.
PAB. Yep.
PAB.
Okay.
It's one of his
I can't do
tattoos
the math
now.
that fast. When it comes to old stock cars, though, I'm telling you, I've talked to a friend of mine at the ARCA race at Bristol on Thursday night. We were waiting in the credential line together, and he said that is an amazing thing to be part of. When you get a chance, like you said, you have an old Gibbs Cup car. I was here in July. Joe Nemechek actually was here. He qualified pole in the vintage stock car class. I think he was cheating. He had his cup hauler here. He was doing his own shocks up on the hill and that kind of stuff. But how big of a market is that? How many different kinds of cars have you seen Brad race here at Road America or other places when it comes to cup cars that either have pedigree or look a lot like Dale Jr.'s number 8, or maybe it was one of his? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know the originality of them all. A lot of guys will just get a car and vinyl it up to look like that car. But I think going forward, you're going to see a lot more cup cars. The Roush Keselowski deal just had a huge auction, and that stuff sold for 10 cents on the dollar. So I think when a lot of these other teams finally on warehouse all their cars and equipment, hopefully we'll see more of them here at the track. It's a tough car to just, you got to almost get one that's somewhat complete, because you can't just order the parts for them. They're all custom made per the team that owns them.
Is that part of the appeal for you, Brad, being as good as you are building things and being able to manufacture your own stuff?
Yeah, that was a huge appeal when I got that Chevelle that was wrecked, and I'm Googling pieces and parts, and that's when I realized, talking to Ron and Austin, all these guys, it's like, that's all Gibbs specific. You don't just, there's nothing on the shelf for that stuff. You gotta either build it yourself or, try to find some new old stock somewhere.
Joe Gibbs Racing has a couple things going on in their world. We also know that Hendrick Motorsports has a few new things in their world, including a life without Ron Malik for about a year now. We hope to have Ron on the show. You mentioned Ron earlier. Ron now lives in the area. I saw him race in July and NASCAR weekend in a Trans Am car. Colin, what's the rest of your schedule going to be like real quick here?
This is the last weekend for the year. So
All right.
after this, just going to be a couple of 1,000-mile tours. I think we've got one or two of those this year yet. And then
Wait a minute. 1,000-mile tours?
Yeah, we do the vintage car tours. So I think there's one coming up in October. See, my scheduler just corrected me. It's a GT350 tour through the Ozarks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you get to drive one car? Or do you get to pop on somebody else's every now and then? Or they're like,
we
you're
drive
in the
one car until
Oh.
it breaks, and then we
Okay.
fix it and drive it again.
Do you have an extra?
Yeah, sure.
I love the Ozarks.
Okay. You can trailer it down there. Great. Done.
We're making deals on the Racing
Yeah.
Roundup show. Sold. Jessica, when it comes to your racing, this is Road America. It's your home. Where else do you get to race yet this year? What are you gearing up for on your schedule already for next year?
This is my last race of the season as well. I'm going to be photographing for, I think, the next 4 weeks at different races. So that's going to be my life until December, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where are you going to get to go?
I'm going to Barber next weekend for Moto America. Then I'm going to go to Petite at Road Atlanta. And then I go to Road Atlanta again with HSR. Then I'll be at Daytona and Sebring with HSR at the end of this year.
So you want to talk about beautiful machinery. We're going to see great pictures out of you wherever you get. Are they published in a specific area? Or are you just doing them for the teams? Or
I usually just post them on Facebook, and then I send them to the drivers.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Historic stuff at Daytona is amazing.
I'm excited. It will be my first time going to that race.
And you get to go to Road Atlanta for their historics to kind of get tuned up on that. That's kind of really cool.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people might be a little bit jealous of what you get to do.
Yeah, it's really fun. I love seeing all the cars. I love meeting new people. It's just a great job to have.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for
Appreciate it very much. How about I say it for Colin Comer and Jessica Junk joining us here on the show. They're racing this weekend. It's part of the Aaron's Art on Wheels. Yes, we do this show in front of a live audience. That's why I keep saying thank you for coming on and make sure that people can react and have fun. We've done the show for a long time. We're going to continue this show as the sun is now setting here at Road America on a beautiful Aaron's Art on Wheels weekend. It's a DeAngelo's Construction Road Show here in Turn 14 in the garage, thanks to D&H Sales and Service and the Lamers Driving Experience for Charity coming up on this Wednesday, September 21st. Find out more at SheboyganPowerCenter.com, as well as searching out Lamers Motor Racing on Facebook. And they've got details there for you how you can drive your car in one of 4 classes around Road America for charity. We'll be right back after these words. Brad Dahmer still glued to the chair.
Thanks for tuning in to the Racing Roundup Show. Check out our website, racingroundupshow.com, and like our show on Facebook. Join us on Twitter and Instagram at Racing Roundup. We're coming right back after these messages from our awesome show sponsors.
Greenfield Gallery wants to buy your racing collection. Do you have die-cast cars from IndyCar, Sprint Car, or short tracks? Greenfield Gallery wants them. If you have old racing programs, racing photos, and negatives, Greenfield Gallery wants those too. Contact Ralph Hibbert Jr. at Greenfield Gallery, who wants to buy your racing collection. Ralph also has an ever-changing eBay store full of racing collectibles. Search Greenfield Gallery. Email Ralph right now to get connected. His email address is ralph@greenfieldgallery.net.
Bobby Gutnick and the technicians at Oak Creek Automotive on South 27th Street in Drexel are experts in automotive repair. For over 30 years and counting, the Napa Certified Car Care Center at Oak Creek Automotive handles emissions testing plus minor to major repair, from oil changes to engine and transmission replacement. Call Oak Creek Automotive 414-761-3250. They're open for your convenience Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. till 9 p.m., and Friday, 7 a.m. till 6 p.m. For all your vehicle repair needs, head to South 27th Street and Drexel to the pros at Oak Creek Automotive.
Danny Lynch's at the corner of Highway 100 and Lincoln is a great place to watch NASCAR races, Packer games, Brewer games, and to meet up with your friends. Joey and Jim Lynch pride themselves on their friendly hospitality and welcome Racing Roundup listeners to stop in to watch all the races on their 14 TVs and flat screens. Danny Lynch's at the corner of Highway 100 Lincoln has been a longtime supporter of racers, including National Road Racing Motorcycle Champion Dan Delansky. Relax around the big neighborhood bar with 2 pool tables and dartboards surrounded by TVs. Whether you're meeting up before the game, want to watch the races with race fans, or just want to grab a cold one, head to Danny Lynch's at the corner of Highway 100 Lincoln and West Dallas.
D&H Sales and Service is Sheboygan County's largest steel and outdoor power equipment dealer. Since 2003, owner Brad Dahmer and D&H Sales and Service strives to offer you the best brands with leading manufacturers such as Aaron's, Gravely, Ferris, Simplicity, Snapper, Steel, Wright, and Toro. Each brand is backed by a stocked parts department and the highest level of customer service. All of our inventory is online at SheboyganPowerCenter.com, and when you buy from D&H, you will be shown how to safely operate your ready-to-use equipment. We have over 80 feet of steel display, and we have over 75 pieces of steel equipment in stock. D&H is Sheboygan County's only Brakes and Stratton Diamond dealer with a master service technician and factory-trained service department. D&H Sales and Service is conveniently located off of I-43 in Sheboygan and is an authorized service and warranty center for most brands on the market. We'll service almost any brand of small engine equipment. Call us for details at 920-458-1865. D&H Sales and Service also offers pickup and delivery to Sheboygan, Manitowoc, and Ozaukee counties. Search D&H Sales and Service on Facebook or log on to SheboyganPowerCenter.com today.
Welcome back to the Racing Roundup Show. I'm going to tell a story I just told off air because you know what? Why not, right? We're doing this for 38 years, having a ball. This portion of the show is brought to you by BMR Electric Carts in Random Lake. Let Brad Miller and his Wisconsin's icon electric golf carts do what you want to do. They have in-stock inventory. You can customize them. They're right now on their Facebook page. They're right on Highway 57, close to Road America, but more importantly, they're on Facebook. BMR Electric Carts Company. They'll deliver. And Brad's got a great lineup there. He's got 2-seaters, 4-seaters, 6-seaters, dump truck backs, and all that stuff. But they are really cool, so thanks to BMRE for his continued support, Brad Miller Racing Enterprises, and his electric carts company. We have a lot of fun at Road America for one reason. Brad Dahmer's a really cool guy to hang out with. But more importantly, we have to talk to a lot of cool people. So if you were with us for our DeAngelis Construction Roadshow, sponsored by D&H Sales and Service back in July, we were here in NASCAR country in Victory Lane, and we talked to a guy who was racing that weekend in the Trans Am Series. Well, now he's here helping out a bunch of people. And he brought his wife with him. We can't thank you enough for coming down, Brad, and convincing them without dollars or weapons to be on our show. Let's welcome in Brad Dahmer, back glued to the chair, and Ron Malik and his wife, Ashley Parlett Malik. Guys, thanks for coming on the show.
All right, thanks.
Ron, thanks for saying okay. That wasn't horrible the first time, so you're back.
Yeah, no, I would never pass up this show.
How was your? Well, I actually knew Ron when he was really little, and his brother
little.
Ralph.
Yeah.
Helmet on wheels at go-karts at Badger Kart Club. It's a long time ago. Your dad had a ball, though, because he was really working hard for you guys.
He was. My dad, I could never, ever repay him for what he did for me and showed me the way in motorsports, and he definitely raised us the right way. I feel he did. I think I turned out all right. So. And
I think I saw him at the PRI show 2 or 3 years ago, sitting there with a half a chassis, like, you want to buy one of these?
Yeah.
He's like repping it or building his own. What's he doing?
Yeah, he's 73 years old and still has his own little business there. He builds shocks for people, and he's a consultant, and I'm just happy he's still motivated to do that kind of stuff and be involved. And I help him out when I can, and it just makes me happy to see him that he's happy doing that.
And you guys are really good. Both the Maliks are really good at finding things out, fixing them, performing at the highest levels in motorsports. Ron, when you got to run that Trans Am car here in July, I was so happy for you because you actually got to play with a bunch of guys in the garage, in the NASCAR garage, that never saw you race because you were too busy working wrenches as the car chief for Jimmy Johnson all those years.
Yeah, that was a huge bucket list item for me. I talked about it with Ashley. We're like, we could run the June sprints. We could do a couple other races for the price of, what it costs to run a Trans Am race. But it's one of those things that you've always wanted to do your whole career. It's like, I love Trans Am cars. I love the whole Trans Am series. They're just probably the coolest race cars ever built. They're just all power, all tire. I mean, it's as much manhandling as maybe even a sprint car. But I just loved it. I enjoyed the whole process of running it. It was a great experience. Obviously, those are the best guys in the country, and I realized, it's not easy. It's not easy to go out there and compete. There may only be 10 of them, but they do it every week, and those cars are finely tuned, and it costs a lot of money. And I definitely don't regret doing it, and I probably won't do it again, but it was a good experience, and I'll never forget it, being out there, and then it's starting to rain, and it's just it's a long race. 27 laps doesn't sound like a long time around here, 100 miles, but it's a long race, especially when it starts raining or you don't know when it's going to start to rain, and the track's 4 miles long, and you get in one section and it's dry, and you go around the next turn and it starts pouring. It's just, if you've never experienced that, I invite everyone to experience that, because there's a lot of pucker factor there.
And you really can't come in for tire changes, right? You're kind of stuck with what
you're
you
on
throw on
slicks
it.
the whole time. Yeah. So, I mean, I've been in other races here on the vintage weekends where you're coming up the hill here, and, I mean, the sky is black, just waiting for it to rain, and you get into turn one and it starts to downpour, and you're just like, what's going to happen next? You got 40 guys behind you, thinking they're going to win the race on the first lap, and it just gets ugly. So it's a talent. Running in the rain is probably something I'll never be good at, because I'm probably not going to do it very much.
But as meticulous as you are, my question goes back to how you got the Trans Am car you drove. I'm sure it was a process, not just hey, I'm going to go online and see if there's anything for sale today.
Yeah, no, I acquired that car. It was someone Tony Avi knew. I picked it up. I did some work to it. I don't take anything to the track without looking at it and make sure it's correct, or at least up to my standards partially. It wasn't 100% where I wanted it, but it was good enough to race, and like I said, I enjoyed it. If I had my way, I'd make everything perfect, and that takes a long time and a lot of effort and a lot of money. So I enjoy building cars. That's my big thing. I almost enjoy building them more than racing them at times. Just seeing that end result of a nice product that runs the whole weekend, performs the way it should. The satisfaction from that's great for me. The driving part's just a bonus.
Brad Dowers has been friends with the Malicks for a long time. About a year ago, Ron was here. Ashley was still in North Carolina. And Brad, you were like, hey, you're really doing this? Yeah, I'm coming up. I'm going to move back to Wisconsin. We're doing this. And he stayed with you guys for a while, right?
Yeah, I think he stayed 4 or 5 weeks maybe.
Yeah, I was homeless for a while, and Brad and Julie let me stay at their house like I was a teenager.
And fed him.
He gained some weight.
Mountain Dew and frozen pizza. Did you get all that? Chicken nuggets?
Oh, he fed me better than anything I've ever ate probably in my life.
What's going on over there?
I did.
No. Brad's an excellent cook. If anybody is ever wondering, he really is, and they're great hosts. We had a great time. Obviously, I was starting a new career at exactly the same time, so there was a lot of pressure on me, and they made it real easy to transition back. And obviously, getting up and leaving a career of 20-plus years in North Carolina in motorsports and leaving basically a dream job that most people would die to have and come back to Wisconsin, people probably thought I was insane. But it's really easy to explain now why I did it, and it's pretty evident that this is one of the best places on earth to raise a family and to be in motorsports, and just the friendship and camaraderie of everyone around here is just excellent. We never had this in North Carolina.
And Ashley Bartlett is the second person I ever followed on Twitter. I told her the story in the commercial. So I signed on to Twitter in 2010. First person I followed is Sprint Car Kid that I heard a lot about, Kyle Larson. The second person I followed on Twitter is just AP.
Really
just
sorry.
_AP.
I'm really sorry.
And then the third person is Bob Pocker. So I told in July here at the Road America, I said, Bob, you're the third person I ever signed up for to follow on Twitter. He's like, what? I said, yeah. Kyle Larson, just AP. He's like, oh, I get it. Yep, okay. He probably got some info out of you too. You were really keyed in on Twitter when you were working with NASCAR teams, and I first met you in Arca Garage, and then you got to do some road racing stuff after working the front suspension geometry stuff for Ganassi and the Cup side. There's a lot you got to do.
She's done more racing than most of us.
Yeah. And drove. I mean, come on.
Big time.
What did you all get to drive before you started saying, okay, I got to make a living doing this with wrenches?
Well, I never saw race cars till I was about 13 years old. My dad and I went turkey hunting in West Virginia, and he was like, hey, I want you to see something. At the time, we had moved to Maryland, and he was had a good relationship with the guys at Rocket Chassis. So we went and saw dirt late models, and I'd never seen a race car before in my life, and I was like, whoa, what are we missing? We got to do this. And I was like, I was kind of hoping you wanted turkey hunt. Like, and I just fell in love with dirt track racing, and I raced micro sprints, and then Am 360 sprint cars, and I got to be about 21 and decided I didn't want to follow my dad's footsteps painting signs, and I knew my best shot at having any involvement as a professional in motorsports, I had to move to Charlotte, and moved to Charlotte with the only mechanical background of being a sprint car, which we all know isn't a whole lot involved in a sprint car. There's a few bars, but that's about it. And I just learned a lot, but as far as racing, I just race sprint cars and go-karts.
What about your ARCA career?
Oh, that was...
She is on Racing Reference as a driver. Yes, you've driven an ARCA, not just as a crew chief. You've driven an ARCA car.
Exactly.
I've forgotten that chapter of my life.
Because you never slept. I could tell by how worn out you were in the ARCA garage. Like, hi, can I talk to you? Yeah, what do you need? Well, you're on the entry list.
Yeah, no, I ran one ARCA race on pavement for Andy Hillenberg, who I love. I mean, Andy's great, and he gives a ton of young people a great opportunity to get exposed to, the NASCAR side, the ARCA side, and he ended up finding a way to get me in an ARCA car, and I was absolutely terrible, and did a terrible job at Toledo, and I was like, well, that's the end of my asphalt career, but it was a good opportunity to sit in something other than a sprint car, and then I did a couple start and parks for him on the dirt, which I actually liked. That was a lot more fun and a lot more relative to what I was used to.
And when it comes to the experience with the wrenches, I mean, Ron is a testament to this. You got to be on your game. You got to live that life. You got to live that job. And with what you got to do along the way, I mean, those choices didn't come easy either, because you were making calculated risks on saying, I need to advance my career. I need to be with these teams. And that took you to Le Mans. That had to be pretty cool, knowing those experiences were part of what you decided to, probably on your own, not had to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a huge learning curve to show up in that town and just try to get a position. And, I started at the bottom. I started sweeping floors and just cleaning parts and not collecting a paycheck and just asking a lot of questions and just trying my best to learn as fast as I can. I wish I'd met Ron a little bit earlier in my career, because I've learned a lot since just being married to him and asking him questions. But yeah, I think with anything else, it's just how much you want it and how hard you're willing to work.
So how different was it when you got to go to Le Mans for the in the Ford GTs that Chip Ganassi presented? You were very integral in that process of getting to Le Mans, racing at Le Mans, and winning Le Mans.
Well, it was a great experience, but I can't take anything away from the sports car side of Chip's business at the time. And those guys prepared that car. They were with it every day. I only did fly-in work for them. So I was very happy to be a part of that. I had spent most of that year doing all the fly-in races with those guys. And
you did pit stops.
I did pit stops.
What'd you do?
The vent on fuel.
That's hard.
Yeah, well, it's nerve-wracking.
That little thing when the car comes in at 100 miles an hour, and think, you got to be in before everything else goes.
Yeah.
And that's what you're waiting on is fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was stressful at the last pit stop at Le Mans. I won't lie. My shield was fogged up, and I was trembling. And I was like, "This is easy." No, this is not easy. It was difficult.
I got a picture framed on the wall to remind her of that experience.
It was a wonderful experience.
Was it a wedding gift?
No, it was prior to that. Yeah.
But I mean, altogether, I have to say that being a part of that sports car group, because I was working still full time for Chip on the NASCAR side in the shop, and then I was flying in for the sports car stuff. But those guys in Indianapolis that work on those sports cars and Indy cars for Chip are just, those are some good guys, and they work really hard. I'm not taking anything away from the NASCAR side, but those guys still do it with all the passion that a weekend racer has, and it's really cool to see. And every weekend that I came into town to help out, they told me what they needed from me, and they were on the ball, and they were the best in the business, and they deserved to win Le Mans. They deserved to win it that year. They were the best in the business that day.
I have a couple more questions for the Maliks, and you're co-hosting, by the way. So we're going to get some Google on to get you off the chair eventually.
It's one of my fondest memories. Ron and I sitting on my couch. I believe you're up here running June Sprints.
Yep.
Or the Hawk, one of the two. And
June Sprints.
We actually got to, before we came to the track that day, we got to watch her win that race.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
Yep, from his kitchen.
Yep.
Yeah, I was up here racing, and she was in France.
So Ron Malik actually had a weekend off. It was Michigan weekend, I believe, the year you won the June Sprints in your Roush Mustang.
I took a weekend off. I had never missed a race in my 17-year career or whatever at that point. I never missed a race, but Chad always said, I want you guys to take a race off or take a weekend off. And
he wasn't talking to you, though, was he?
Everybody but.
Yeah. I didn't really care who he was talking to at that point, but I actually took him up on it. And I took a weekend off, missed a race, let them, in the back of my mind, I knew it was getting to the end of my career. I was going to tell them I was not going to do it very much longer. But, yeah, I missed a race, and everything still happened, and I got to come up here and enjoy this beautiful racetrack and race my car and enjoy my life.
Okay, I have 2 more questions. Brad, you can ask as many as you want. You both probably met each other at the time in your careers where you're both working 90 hours a week or 70 hours a week. How did that work? Was it a midnight phone call and whoever fell asleep first, you just picked up the next 3 days later when you had a 5-minute time to chat again?
Well, that's funny. I'm not going to say too much, but we never talked in the garage. And we worked right next to each other, and we were actively dating. We had a kind of a pact, like, we're here to do our job, not to play kissy face in the garage. And that's where we drew the line. Like, we worked right next to each other. No one even knew we were really dating at that point because we kept it pretty much outside of the racetrack.
And to your point, the teams, they're in a garage this big. There could be a car here and a car here. They don't talk to each other. These teams are, you talk to your guys, they talk to their guys and gals. That's it.
Right, and I'm a big person. Like, I don't like showing any kind of weakness, and I know I don't want to make her look weak in front of her guys either, and that was a big thing with me. I never want people to think I'm not focused on my job, and I don't think we ever were because we did everything really professionally. I met her through working in the garage next to her. I had known of her before that, but yeah, it all worked out after that, obviously, but it was match made in heaven.
Would you slide like a note on the jackhead's hey, pizza? I mean, how'd you guys communicate if you didn't talk to each other?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Austin Knitsky had a lot to do with it.
All right.
Yes,
he's now got your job at Hendrick, and he's the matchmaker, you're saying. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Now he's a good friend. That's what he is.
Ashley, what's your version?
A lot of the same. I mean, it was a really sticky situation for me. As we all know, there isn't a ton of females wrenching on race cars. And, it's always a difficult situation just to try to fit in with the guys. I mean, all of them have a good intention of accepting you and bringing you in and giving you the job. And at Ganassi, there was a ton of really great guys. And the last thing I wanted was to start dating the car chief of the 48, and that ruined that with them. And we had such a great camaraderie, and they all gave me really good respect, and they were all a bunch of really good guys that I didn't want them to think that I was betraying them or sharing secrets or any of the
We were
above.
the enemy.
Yeah, they were the enemy. So I think the hardest part was when old Keith Rodden outed us. No, Casey Kane outed us.
Yeah.
And, it was one of those things where we really weren't keeping it a secret, but it didn't help that it came from Casey to Keith and then to my crew chief, and then it was just like a big thing. But otherwise,
we handled it all right.
It was fine.
It was fine.
Yeah.
And then how much longer were you in the NASCAR garage before you did what you're doing now, Ashley?
Well, I came off the road, and then I was just working in the shop, doing the fly-in stuff for the sports car guys, which was just really a dream come true. Max Jones and Tony Lunders at Ganassi really made that happen for me. They knew how important that was for me and made that happen. And then I moved on and started working for Junior 3 Racing, and they're an IMSA team, and I love working for Billy Glavin. It's a great group of guys, and he really respects me as a mom now and everything I have to juggle. So I started with him as a mechanic, and I got pregnant, and he was like, well, how do you feel about doing accounting and billing and all that stuff? And, in this industry, it's very much like being an athlete, as a mom and soon-to-be mom. It's really hard to wrench on a race car with a big old belly, so he found a hole for me and put me in that position, and it's been a dream come true. I moved to Wisconsin, and I assumed that day when I told him that I was going to be looking for another job, and he was like, nope, you can do it all from there, and you work when you can get your job done, and we'll work it out. And it's working for Billy Glavin and having a successful race team. They're running third in LMP3 going into Road Atlanta. I'm very proud of the team we have built, and just loving every second of it.
You were like the third full-time employee, right?
Yeah. Now we have 13 full-time employees, so it's grown, and they're very successful and running a heck of a program.
It's a year later now. He's been here longer than you. What's it been like? We love Wisconsin. We love where we are right now. What have you learned to adapt and love here as your choice of home now with your
Well,
baby?
they run sprint cars every weekend here in like 18 places. That it's about 2 miles from our house. So how can you not love it? Everybody's told me how mild of a winter it was. I'm sure I'll hear it for the next, couple more months till it gets to be winter again. But it's such a good trade-off that in the summertime the weather's gorgeous. I think there was 3 days this year where I actually said, "Oh, it's hot," Whereas in North Carolina it was like a rare day that it wasn't hot. So. I'm really just loving it. It's a racing town, which is so fun. It's every day that, a GTO or something will drive by the house heading into town because it's a car town, it's a race town, and I just love it. And our son he's thriving here. It's so much room for his mind to expand, and so many races to go to, and he's just loving it. So I wouldn't go back.
Ron, you're wearing a fancy shirt. It says Ron Malik Performance on it. Are you getting more involved in more racing stuff around these parts?
Well, my lovely wife made us this shirt, and I think she made my son one and you for the Trans Am race in July. Sooner or later,
but there's a logo on your scooter too.
Yeah.
I'm saying you guys are full on.
Yeah.
I'm pushing for it, but
Okay.
No, it's something definitely. Like I said, I really like building cars. That's my real passion. I like seeing the end product, and if it's for other people, I enjoy that. I like seeing people happy. I like making people happy. Honestly, that's my goal. So if that does and it pans out, I can start doing work for people. I may. That's the kind of stuff I really enjoy, and it keeps my head strong, keeps you motivated. Like Ashley always brings up, when you didn't have any projects, you really get depressed. And I go, yeah, I know. I always have to have something I have to drive to a date for completion because that's been my life. It's always driving to the next race or getting the car ready for the next race. And if I don't have that, I just kind of get lost. So I always have to have something. And
how is it hanging out with this guy?
Yeah, well, we stay busy.
Yeah. They keep each other busy, which is good.
We're coming up new ideas. Some of them might have wings on the top, but you never know.
And how old's your son now?
Getting ready to be 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah. You probably already got some things in mind for that too.
I'm not ready.
I think Ron is.
Oh, he is.
She has to keep me restrained a little bit when it comes to getting him motorized vehicles or making them faster. So
yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch you guys.
Yeah.
Enjoy your time here in Wisconsin. We've had a lot of fun here hanging out at Road America. Brad Dahmer, thanks for being our co-host, guest, and host for this wonderful night.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming out. It's been great.
It's been a lot of fun. Ron and Ashley, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
No, thank you.
I understand it's date night, so if you guys want to, we'll just make this table into some kind of dinner for two thing if you want. When we set everything else up, we'll pack everything else away.
We're really comfortable at just a bar, so.
That's over there next to the Moabs.
Exactly.
Mother of all smokers. That's what those letters mean.
That's right.
It's been a lot of fun. Thank you guys for coming on the show.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're going to wrap things up here by saying thank you to our hosts at Road America. We want to thank our friends here in Turn 14 Garage. And we know that we're going to be back on the air this coming Tuesday, with another show. Our second to last show of our 38th season of the Racing Roundup Show. We'll be at Paulie's Pub and Eatery on Tuesday night, hanging out with the racing crowd and having a bunch of fun there. I want to thank our guests for coming on, Brad Dahmer especially, for all the help he's gotten putting this together, and we had a ball. Hope you get to see the show, share this show, like our show on Facebook. Go to our website, The Racing Roundup Show is where you find us on Facebook. RacingRoundupShow.com is where you can see this show and every show we've done the last couple of years. On the live menu button, click down to archives and see what you love to see. We're also on the very bottom of Flow Racing. If you go to Flow Racing, the very bottom says shows. We're there too. See our show anytime you feel like it. Looking forward to seeing you at the racetrack real soon. And as we say every time, we couldn't do the show without our great guys behind the scenes. Thank you, Matt Rapina. Thank you, Dave Schmalzer. Thank you, Mark Goodman, for today's show specifically. It's been a lot of fun. This started out as a little radio show. Now, 38 years later, we're into the full-on lights and hanging out in the garage with some really cool people. Thank you guys for being part of that. And until Tuesday, as I like to end every show, set your DVRs, support your local racing, and have at it, racers.
Thank you for joining us for the Racing Roundup Show. Like our show on Facebook, contact us via our website, racingroundupshow.com, and interact with us on Twitter and Instagram at Racing Roundup. We are delivering fresh content every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central. Until next time, race fans, support your local racetrack, set your DVR, and have at it, racers.